If I'm interested in one thing more than anything else, it's people. I am not necessarily a fan of big crowds and loud parties and all that kind of stuff. Now that I don't drink anymore, especially. I cannot handle that shit sober. But I love reading books about people and human nature and just all the weird and crazy and different things and civilizations and all that kind of stuff. It fascinates me. I love reading about people. IRL, I could take them or leave them, but I know that books about people really interest me because I'm really trying hard to get better at business stuff because I'm trying to start this ice cream business with my buddy. Well, actually we have started it. We have an LLC and everything, but trying to get this business, going. So I'm really trying to learn more about business, and seeing that I don't have a lot of free time to devote to actually doing business, I figure I will try to learn by, listening to audiobooks about business like I do with everything else. Audiobooks are my go-to for learning about anything. And I find it so hard to focus. I think I pick stuff up. I know I pick stuff up. But my focus when those business audiobooks are on, and they're not bad books, they're good books, but just the focus is just not there. I can't care. I just can't make myself care about it. Whereas I just started this new book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Tipping Point, very famous book, and because it's talking about people, I am locked in. Also, he's a great author, so probably one of my favorites, one of my new favorites. And this new book has got me, it was talking about memory and how some guy remembered people's names very well and remembered people very well. And got me thinking about memory because that has impressed me about certain people that I run into. So let's start off with my sister. One of my sisters is very good at languages. She can study a language and be in the country where the language is spoken, speaking it to native speakers in what I consider no time flat. Me, I have been studying Spanish on Duolingo for probably 6 years now. Yeah, 6 years. And when I hear Spanish, I can understand. I'm like, oh, I know that word. But I know part of the problem is that I'm not immersing myself. Actually, that's probably one of the big problems. But it just doesn't stick. And same when I was in living, actually, I did do this. I was immersed. I lived in South Korea for a year. And even though there were very few English speakers where I lived, before picking up the language well enough to actually talk to people, I just didn't talk to people. And just didn't pick it up, and by the time I left, I knew the alphabet, and just never clicked. Not even just, I basically like hi and thank you, stuff like that. Just not my gig. It just didn't stick. Didn't vibe with me, I guess. Languages aren't my thing. dad has studied religion and philosophy extensively, and he, when he's arguing his points to me, will rattle off councils of the church and quotes and names of popes and saints and what they said and connections between this pope and this council and why it's relevant. And now it blows my mind. I'm like, wow, can't believe you remember this. But the connections don't even work on me, because by the time you get to connecting one thing to another thing, I'm like, yeah, you lost me. But I am very impressed by the memory and the understanding of how all these things are connected, and just just the memory of it all just blows my mind. I can remember dates and quotes and names of history if I study them very hard. I have to really focus. I have to study. I have to highlight. I have to outline. And I did this for one of my recent karate tests, where I had to learn some karate history. And I read those 2 chapters of that book probably, it was more than 10 times. It was probably 12 times. And I was underlining things. I was circling things. And when I took my test, that was about a dozen questions, I still got several things wrong. And yeah, those names, the dates, the quotes, the significance of things, I passed, but it was way harder than it should have been. Pause. And so yeah, that's that memory that my dad has of the names, the dates, the quotes, the councils, the dogmas, really, wow, that's impressive. A guy that I worked with, it was a while ago, he didn't last very long, but he knew so much about metal bands. And I love metal, and I knew most of the bands that he was talking about, but he knew the names of the members of the bands. He knew the year that their albums came out. He knew the names of the albums. He knew the names of their songs. He knew, the details behind, say, a drummer dying in a car crash, and why, and the date that the drummer died, and when they got the new drummer, and what the new drummer's name was. And yeah, it was impressive. And these are all bands that I like and I listen to, and I didn't know any of this stuff. I barely know. I know about 2 albums maybe that bands I like came out with, and not even the first name of their lead singer a lot of times. And I know what songs I like, but a lot of times I couldn't tell you the name of the song. And these are bands and songs that I listen to on a daily basis. And yeah, that knowledge, once again, I found extremely impressive. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I have a very good memory, to be honest. I can cram. I can do that. I can work really hard, study something, learn it, take a test on it, and forget it. I can do that. I did very well in school. I was awesome at school because, honestly, I think it was just outworking people, because I can do that. And like I said, I can read the whole book. I can read the whole book twice. I can highlight. I can underline. I can circle. I can take a test and I can get an A on it and then promptly forget it. I also feel like my working memory is not the greatest, because if I'm studying multiple things like Spanish, karate, business, fitness, health, there comes a point, and that point is reached very soon, where I feel like I'm learning things at the expense of other things. Like if I'm learning something new, I'm forgetting something old. I think, and I get the feeling that happens relatively quickly in my mind. The point where the new things are pushing out old things. I don't think that memory bank of working memory is very big. Also, I can remember people's names, and I try to do that at work. I make a really concerted effort to learn the names of the people that I deal with the most. So the guys who are usually receiving my shipments when I pull up. When I go to a store, before I get there, I'll try to remember the names of maybe the couple people that I'll probably talk to. And then, if somebody leaves or there's somebody new, I'll try to make a mental note, and so I can greet people by name. But it's really, I'll see the faces of old friends and old coworkers, and I just, dang, can't remember their name. And a lot of times it's people I really should remember. And once again, I think that because I'm trying to learn new names all the time, old ones go out the window. So I think that my memory is probably not the best. Same with all these books that I read. I can remember concepts. I can remember the impression I got from a book. I can remember if I like it or not. But specifics, very hard to recall. So, I don't know. It's just something that I'm thinking about. This whole concept of memory, and especially memory as it involves people. It's pretty cool, and it's interesting. How certain people remember certain things way better than others do. And I think I'm rather lacking in this department. And many others. Let's not sell myself too long.